Thanks for downloading this episode of the Nerdball Podcast. Man, I just looked at myself. I just recorded the podcast. So just behind the wall here. I record the episode, then I record the intro, and then I record the outro. But I just realized how tired my eyes looked. It's like, man, did I look that tired the whole way in the episode? Anyway, thanks for downloading this episode. Thanks for listening. As always, thanks for downloading, subscribing, rating, all that kind of stuff. This is going well. I got actually, I'm like ahead of the game here. I have several planned podcasts, which hasn't been the case in a while because it's just with football and sports and everything. It's hard to do. Softball Sundays are over, so now I can get back to trying to get two scheduled each morning on softball Sundays. Now that they're over, I should say. So so I got a bunch scheduled. I'm excited to who's on the docket, and as we creep closer to 200, I already got a guest for that. So I'm excited to interview that person. Just excited in general. Thank you all for being part of this. You know, it's fun to hear. It's fun to hear people talk about it when they see me or email or whatever. So it's a cool thing. So thank you. Also, check out Three Different Dads. Our last episode, I think it was our 42nd episode. That was one of the most fun episodes we've done in a while. I felt like we were all on our game. It was good. Brought dad jokes back. Well, some of us did, not everybody. But it was a good episode. So check that out at Three Different Dads. That is on the Nerdball Network. And we've been really getting emails for that. So if you email the show, you're 100% going to get mentioned. So keep that in mind. The Gmail for that is 3differentdads@gmail.com. The information, the email for this show is the nerdballpodcast@gmail.com. So reach out to us anywhere, and we will. I will be sure to read your correspondence if we need to. So again, thank you all. I don't want to stretch this out any further as I ramble on. So here's the episode.
I'm Rachel Moll, and this is the Nerdball Podcast.
This is the Nerdball Podcast with Lorenzo Melcher.
Awesome. Rachel, thanks for coming on my podcast. You are there's some people I try to like. I mean, it's nice to like that you want to come on, and I know we call you a super fan of Three Different Dads.
Yes.
So you're aware of my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But it is some of those like I'll send a text and I go, I know she'll say yes as long as she's not doing anything with the kids. And because I was texting you yesterday or last night.
Well, softball ended.
Yeah,
so, yeah, we're good. Softball ended. You already knew my schedule.
I just didn't know what your son was doing, so I didn't want to assume. So
it actually worked out really well this fall because his games were always on Saturdays, and then softball is always on Sundays. Except then he broke his wrist, so he wasn't playing. Anyways, he did some pinch running, but that's okay. But
do you, when your child is hurt, do you attend the games still? Like, I know somebody has to be there to take him because he can't drive, obviously, but like,
yeah, we did.
Yeah.
He had a lot of games rained out, and then he didn't go to the games for the pumpkin smash tournament for softball because it logistically we just couldn't figure it out, and so he didn't go. It was just one game, so he didn't go to that. But we've gone.
Yeah. I do want to talk about that tournament because I wasn't there, and I want to talk about it. But before we do that, I always ask everyone what's something you nerd out about, something you're super into, some hobby, something. And I think I know what yours is.
Probably.
But go ahead and let us know.
So I've kind of not started. I don't know. This is really weird. I'm not good with the business end of this. I just want to do the thing. So my current happy hobby is what I've been calling it is organizing. And like, I've always enjoyed doing it myself and helping kind of like my mom or, a family or whatever. But I have a lot of free time when the kids are at school, and I found myself kind of just sitting around trying to figure out something to do. So kind of starting a little venture of a side gig of organizing. And I say side gig very loosely because this is like, I do not intend to, I'm a nurse. So I work 2 12-hour shifts a week and it's great. And I love my job. So I'm not intending to like replace my primary job, whatever here. This is just truly a between the hours of like 10 and 2 during school days, on days I'm off, where nothing else is happening. Maybe I could come help you or whoever, organize some stuff or declutter some stuff or figure out some systems like in someone, your home that would just make life easier.
Does this happy hobby come out of necessity at first? Like you needed to do this to your house, and you're like, oh, I kind of like doing this.
Yeah, kind of. I'm trying to create, or I'm working on like a origin post, right? Of like my
Okay.
why. And I was looking back through, there was a point, I have a picture of Luke's like 4, surrounded by like just an entire room full of toys. I brought every single toy from the whole house. And so Abby was like 1.5, 2, maybe at that age. So, I mean, that age, there's a lot of
Oh yeah,
toys,
there's
a
stuff
lot of
everywhere.
stuff, and there's diapers, and it's just insane. So, anyways, I had brought every single thing from the whole house, every single room into one room, and it was just like obscene. Like nobody needs this much stuff. So that kind of started my own like personal journey of
Yeah.
um not minimalism, but minimalish kind
Yeah.
of stuff. Like really stopped bringing a lot of things into our home, which is key when you're getting rid of stuff because you can get rid of stuff, but if you keep bringing it back in, it doesn't it doesn't solve anything. So we were also kind of at the same time it all kind of played in. We like paid off a bunch of debt, and so it kind of all went in together with like contentment in our home and bringing in less and kind of diminishing our consumerism in a not super like strict way though. Like I feel like
Just
all of these words are scare a lot of people,
well,
but it's
it's
really
just
just being
I think you're just
in,
focusing on it more, like
yeah,
being
yeah,
aware.
yeah. I like the word like intentional, just being very intentional about like not just bringing stuff in our home and buying stuff just because.
Yeah.
Now,
Uh-oh.
clearly, when you have multiple adult or multiple family members, that's like different, right? Because everybody has their own thought process, and I'm not kids want things and get birthday presents, and so I'm not saying we can't have anything. Also, Mark keeps everything, like everything.
Me too. Me
So
too.
his shelf of above your head there,
Yeah.
the baseball, it's all in the, well, you're in your basement. It's all in the
Yeah.
basement. All of his stuff, he's got a corner in the basement.
Well, see, I'm happy as long as I can have some stuff. And this stuff is really just like accumulated over the years. A lot of it's from my dad and my mom. And actually, in this entire basement, when we first moved in, every wall was covered with sports stuff. And then I did it, and like a month later, I'm like, I can't do this. I go, the kids are going to be down here. This has to be their space first, and then
Right.
once they get older, then I can move my stuff in. But I had so much stuff; it was going on the ceiling. Like I had stuff everywhere, and now it's just packed, like waiting, waiting to be released
Waiting to reemerge.
as I add to it. There. I mean, Rachel, I had everything. I would have when you go to like team shops at a game, I would have the bag that I bought the whatever
Oh
in because it had
no.
the team logo, and I would put it was
Oh
cool, and I
no.
put it up there. And I was excited this year because I went to a Guardians game, and it's the first time I bought something with the name change, so I'd have a brand new bag I could put up. And
Oh no. That I don't know that Mark has any bags. I say that. I'm gonna go look and see and be like, oh no, he does.
he's got to have
Um,
one. He's got to have one at least.
like, are you saying plastic bags or like the like material, like
So
fabric ones?
the latest one I got is a brown bag. But the other ones, yes, they're plastic, but not
Like
like Kroger cheap plastic. Like they're thicker plastic, but they're still a plastic bag. I'm trying to fancy it up, but it's a plastic bag.
I know what you're talking about, but like, yeah, I would.
I don't know.
That would be a. I would give some like big side eye and like, great. You're
Oh,
gonna keep.
I'm sure Andrea feels a certain way about it, but you know,
Yeah, but to that extent, to each their own, and so that uh is kind of part of this whole happy hobby thing. Is like, I do not expect to go into other people's homes and have them do things exactly how I do them, because families are different and
yeah,
thoughts are different about stuff. Like, I don't like to keep a whole lot of sentiment. Like, I have sentimental items. It's just the quantity is probably way less. And I think if I lived completely, I don't want to live completely on my own, but like my own personal is just, it is truly pretty minimal. Like,
yeah,
we don't even have like, our pantry isn't even like super stocked at all times, because I don't like throwing out food. So I'd rather just go to the store and get stuff once a week instead of overstocking stuff.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't expect everyone to do that and live exactly how I do things. So it's been interesting. Like I said, this is very new. I've
Mhm.
only gone into um a few, I don't know, homes, and
Oh, so you've done it a
each
few times.
a few times,
Oh,
yeah.
nice, nice. Okay,
One, two, like five.
okay, nice.
And every single time has been different, which
Mhm.
is cool because different's fun.
Well,
And
as a business too, and you said it, like no matter what the business is, if you're going to people's homes, it could be washing their windows, it could be mowing the lawn, it could whatever. They want it a certain way, and you have to provide that service, regardless of how
right,
you feel about it. You could feel like, well, really, this shouldn't be here. We're like, well, I want it here because I use this, every day. So,
right.
yeah,
I try to take the angle of keeping the things that you use the most accessible. So like in that specific, very specific kind of situation, I I have lots of conversations with people about like, okay, this is sitting out, and people are always worried about cleaning before and I'm like, no, don't clean, because then I don't know where you drop your keys. I don't know where the pile of kids' papers is that
uh,
shows your like natural habits and
yeah,
routines that you already have. Because like I said, it would be really easy to just say, this is how you're going to do this. Da, 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 da. And I don't live my life that way. I don't think anybody should have to fit a certain mold at all times. So my whole outlook on the whole thing is, I just want to help people make their lives easier in their own homes,
yeah,
because you shouldn't walk into your home and be stressed. Like, that sucks.
yeah.
Nobody
Oh,
wants that.
yeah.
You know,
Uh,
like,
yeah. Well, I probably got I don't know if it was like cleaning habits, I guess, from my mom, where like it's not every day. Like we pick up a few things here or there, but it's usually
right.
like on a weekend, and like, all right, while you're here, let's clean all this stuff up. And that's pretty much what we do here. Andrew and I are pretty similar in that. Her mom would vacuum her carpet 3 times a day when there's her and her husband that live
Mhm.
in there. It's just, but that's what she likes to do. It makes her feel good, right? And so I
Right.
always make fun of her because like we'll be like for Thanksgiving, family's coming over. I'm like, oh, Lucy, you're gonna have to shampoo your carpets 3 times today. Make sure you don't forget. Like, just, but she likes to do it, and her house looks nice. And
Right.
again, to each their own. Like even I go to my parents' house, and their house is clean, and that's how I grew up. And but my mom, she has a wall of pictures, and it's not like, oh, frame picture. It's like you can't even see the wall because pictures are just everywhere. But that's how she likes to decorate. and,
Right.
and it's cool when I go over there and look, I'm like, all right, what new pictures are up? And just random pictures from high school or when we were little or whatever. And it's cool. So that's a good, like, especially with something adventure like this, like it's good to have that mindset. Like, I'm not trying to make you me, I'm trying to make you better,
Right.
right? Or
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
for you.
So I picked the like name Everyday Easy
Mm-hmm.
as like my Instagram handle and Facebook thing, because, ooh, shameless plug right there. But
Don't worry, I'll put your links
I hope it's
in the
fine.
show notes. People can click
But and um because I just want to make every day easier, right?
them.
Like, I sit at home. We've done a ton of things around our home, DIY and renovations and all this
Yeah.
stuff. But even before the renovations. Like, it's just nice to sit on your couch and look around at your home and just be like not stressed. I
Yeah.
don't have to look around and think of a million things I have to do. It's just easy. It's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like easy, I like efficient. It doesn't have to be clean all the time, but like my house is not clean all the time at all, but it's simple and pretty quick to tidy it up. Like
Yeah.
everything has a
Yeah.
place in it. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's how we are too. Like it might look like a mess, but it's going to take us 10 minutes to put everything away.
right.
Yeah.
And that to me is the important part
Mhm.
because
What?
messes
Okay.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple questions.
Sure.
Your kids are very similar, if not the same age as our kids.
Yeah.
And I've, what do you do, or what have you done with the kids' school papers?
I've done
Because
those
there
things.
is a lot. All of them.
Not all of them.
Okay. All right.
Anything math
Yeah.
goes because I, no, we don't need
Yeah.
to keep that.
And just to clarify, Andrea deals with it. So I will let you know.
Mhm.
I'll talk to you about when you're done.
Mhm.
I'll let you know what she does with them.
Gotcha. Yeah, so pretty much unless it has an original like writing on it, and I don't
Mhm.
mean just handwriting. So Luke and Abby are seventh and fourth. So
Okay.
your kids are like one grade under, but
Yep.
close
Yep.
enough. And
Mhm.
as they get older, I'm sure you guys have found too, it's um a lot of the just like stuff you immediately throw away really slows down.
Mhm.
So that's been nice too. But yeah, so I only keep the stuff that has like a really nice original artwork or like a paragraph about something specific to them. Like not a book report or I read this paragraph and this is what it means. It more of a like this fall I played
Mhm.
softball,
Yeah.
travel softball, and I liked this, and these people were on my team. You know what I mean? Like those very specific things to them. Um, and then even that, I'll keep them. And then at the end of the school year, I kind of edit back through it again
Okay.
and then put them in a this is really popular, like Pinterest thing, but like a file box. And each I have a file folder for each like school year.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So then each school year goes into that and then it goes back up into their closet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. What does Andrea
Andrea,
do?
Andrea, very similar. She'll, if it's art, if it's, a funny or cool writing, like you said, Lillian brings home some pretty funny things.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, but a lot of them too, like for Lillian, it's a journal. So it's all in one thing where they write a journal every week. So that makes it a little easier for certain writing things where it's just a book. And at the end of the year, here you go, you can save this book.
Mm-hmm.
But she throws a lot of like vocab or math or any of that stuff that it's just like work, like we don't
Mm-hmm.
need.
Mm-hmm.
She'll throw that away. And Mateo's gotten a lot less, like
Mm-hmm.
you said, as they get older. And then she just hangs it. There's a bag that she hangs on our door to the basement where she collects it all and then puts it. There's something in the basement. I don't know where she puts it in the basement, but somewhere in the basement, it all goes. But have your
That's a
kids
really
ever?
great system.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's quick because she does it every night.
Mm-hmm.
She deals with the school stuff. She does it every night.
Mm-hmm.
And she does it at night because that way she can't. That way, and it's only Lillian. That way,
Uh-huh.
Lillian can't see what she's throwing away and what she's keeping.
Oh, for sure, because that can cause like Abby loves to draw and is so artwork, keeping artwork is a thing, and a lot of it's really good. But when it's like this little teeny tiny
Yeah.
piece of paper, I'm like, so Abby has a like a cork board in her room, a big one, that I'm like, go put it on your cork board or some, so then she can decide what she does with it, and then it stays up there for
Uh,
a long time. And then I'm like, you don't have any more room, or you don't have any more push buttons. You want to like change some of this stuff out, and she's usually cool with it.
mhm.
But yeah, the little itty bitty ones are the ones that like are so important. But it's like just those little doodle. But I don't know. I always kind of sometimes I look at that stuff and like, if I throw this out, and then it would have made a good tattoo someday or something.
uh,
I
that's
don't
where
know.
you. That's where the little hoarding part comes in your
Yeah,
brain.
yeah. I'm like, oh, but no, and then it just goes. It just goes.
The
It's gone.
fleeting moment that you can
Yeah,
push out. The
for sure.
devil angel you got going on. The devil's super tiny. He's the devil's still organized, but just tiny. It's just
Yeah, yeah. Maybe this needs to go in a And a different file folder. Yeah. No. Have your
Uh,
kids ever brought home something like uh funny, adult funny that they didn't realize that they did?
oh yeah, like
Like
especially when
drawn
they
something?
either drawn it. A lot of it is words when they don't know how to spell very well, and they're
Yeah.
trying to spell something and it spells something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Uh I've kept some of those
yeah, oh yeah,
because and those stop, kind of coming through too. But like kindergarten, first grade, there was a lot of those.
yeah.
The words ones. I don't know that I kept as many words ones, but I kept some pretty funny drawings.
Well, because then you got to ask, like, all right, well, what are you doing? And then they
Yeah.
get mad. Sometimes they get mad. It's like, well, it's obvious.
Yeah.
What we're
Yeah.
trying to draw here.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
mean?
There was I know in particular there was a rocket that was drawn that was very I was like, oh great. Okay,
Cool.
it's a rocket. Cool.
What are those on the bottom?
Yeah.
Two fuselages.
Yeah,
What are they called?
boosters.
Fuselages. Yeah, boosters.
Sure.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all good though.
Yeah. The other question. I love a label maker.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you have like I've used them for a while and I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me. Do you have some that you like more than others, or do you have one that like I have to buy this one? It's
No, I just have like one I bought off of Amazon when it went on
okay.
like lightning deal a couple of years ago. I don't know. But it is now living in my car. I have a little like clear shoebox that's
Mhm.
got a label maker, a Sharpie, some like stick-on labels because sometimes I don't know why. Sometimes I like to write what it is like on big totes, like storage totes. I would rather have a bigger label and write what it is instead of like a
Yeah.
tinier one. I don't know. So I have a little toolbox in my car that's floating around with me in a little container because I would take it
For
out.
organizing emergencies.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. Somebody loses their hat at softball practice. Hang on, come here. I'm going to write a label in it. No. But um I do like a good label, but I also am not super like picky about it. Like as long as it gets the job done.
Have you seen
I
those ones that have QR codes? Have you seen those?
Yeah.
Those are
So
awesome.
Mark, I told Mark about those and he is I think when he was on, he talked how he really likes tech stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And he's we have divvied jobs in our home, so he's like chief technical officer. I'm I'm CFO, I do finances,
Yeah.
and he's um like I do environmental services, but he's maintenance. So
So funny.
I know, right? It just makes it sound fun. But
Yeah, yeah.
so he likes all the really techie stuff, and I am getting there.
Mhm.
There are some things that he has brought in that I really like, but he was really interested in the QR code. I'm like, but what if the QR code just says winter hats and gloves? I could just write winter hats and gloves. So it just kind of depends. I like to keep it more simple. I think the QR codes are nice for like if you have almost like an inventory
Yeah, that's what
of
I take those
things.
as. Yeah.
Yeah, like you have multiple different things
Mhm.
in there that you're trying to find a very specific thing.
Yeah.
I don't have like
You're more
it
organized than
would
that.
it well it's just a different type of organizing. I could
Yeah.
see how for some situations that could be important. And who knows, watch like next week, I'll be like, oh my gosh, we need a QR code for this. But
It's like a junk drawer of a storage container. That's what it would be good for.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a junk drawer?
Um
Is it
okay, so
labeled?
the junk drawer is getting smaller because so we just this year did a big kitchen renovation.
Yeah.
And I took our junk drawer and put it into like a plastic shoebox size thing.
Yeah.
And as I have used things, I have pulled them out and then found them a proper home.
Mm.
But there are still things in that junk box now. It's not a drawer and it's like it's in our like a cabinet in a different room. So my thought is kind of once we hit like the year mark or who knows, whenever I just feel like it'll be like in the spring would be a year, kind of look and see what's left. And if
Pitch
we
it.
haven't used it in a year,
Mhm.
why it either needs to go to like Mark's toolbox or his corner in the basement or or the trash can.
Okay. They're telling me it's either Mark's or the garbage.
A lot of times, yes. I mean,
You
not
know,
completely. That's
no,
not
I
totally
know.
fair. I
It's
give
just
him a
easy to
lot of
make fun of
crap.
them.
It is. I give him a lot of crap because he brings home stuff from work all the time. He has a buddy that like gives him random gadgets and stuff. And I'm like what? A dehydrator. What? He brought a dehydrator home like 2 years ago. We've never used it.
Me,
We're never going to use it.
me and
It's
Mark
just,
are the same. I have a dehydrator too.
have you used it?
I used it when I first got it. I used it several times, and now I haven't used it in a while. But
Well,
we made so for a while the kids were into like not fruit roll-ups, but we used to get the ones with
mhm.
like actual fruit, like fruit
Yeah, like
leather,
the
I
fruit
guess, or whatever.
strips. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so we made some of those. We went online and found like an easy way to make them. So we did some of those. Kids liked them. I dehydrated fruit. I love apple chips, so that was good
Oh
for
yeah.
that.
Yeah, those are good.
But then yeah, after a while, it just sits out there with alongside our waffle maker, all my stuff to do canning, um,
Hmm.
a big stew pot. It's all just sits out in the garage.
Canning. Do you
Yeah,
you can?
I did. I tried it one year. It was, I mean, it was successful. I
Hmm.
just don't have enough veggies in my own yard to do it,
Yeah.
and I don't want to like go buy a bunch of stuff. But I did one year. My dad liked them. I canned jalapenos, and that went really good. So it was fun. It's a lot of work. It's messy.
Yeah.
It's just yeah. And now it just sits outside.
Luke wants to have a garden next year,
Yeah.
and we have the yard space for it. Um, but it's a lot of work to put a
Yeah.
garden. Like I, I, and I've never done it, so it's always been like, yeah, we'll get to it someday. Well, Luke drew up like he like built, not built, he drew it out like the plans for like a raised bed and
Mm-hmm.
the materials he'd need, and
You better get maintenance on that.
yes. Well, that this is where I'm going. He is a mini Mark. He has that engineer
Yeah.
brain and all that. So I'm like,
Nice.
sure. So the most I have done in prep for this is I scored a compost bin from the Buy Nothing page.
Okay.
And it's great. It's not an open one. It's like a big cylinder that like
Oh yeah, those are the best.
turns.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I scored a compost bin in prep for probably putting a garden together because yeah, everybody in a perfect world, everybody would have a garden
Mm-hmm.
and can their stuff and do, I just it's just not on my like
Yeah.
high
It's
priority thing to do.
not for
I don't know.
everybody. Just
No.
couple tips. I've been doing a garden for a while, and this year it just fell off. I was more busy than normal, if you can believe that. But a couple tips: don't first of all buy plants, don't buy seeds.
Yeah.
It's fun, it's cool to do the seeds. It's a lot more work, and they usually don't transfer very well.
Mhm.
Um, and don't do a lot of plants. Like you may have this big space. You're like, oh, we can fit all these plants. And there are websites, Pinterest especially, where it's called square foot gardening, where you can put a bunch of stuff. And it all works well together as long as you're on top, but you got to be on top of it. Just if you're gonna do it first time, get something, whatever,
Tomatoes.
tomato, if they
Yeah.
like certain kind of peppers, those are easy. Tomatoes can be crazy too. So
Hmm.
there's this is getting really into it. There's indeterminate and determinate tomatoes. So
Okay.
indeterminate will grow will grow forever. They just if you give them the space, if you give them 20 feet tall to grow, they're going to grow 20 feet tall and keep going.
Wow.
If you don't, they're going to flop over, they'll break. You'll still get tomatoes, but and then determinate is they only grow so much. They're going to put out tomatoes and then they're going to be done, and that's it. So everyone buys indeterminate because you get tomatoes all summer, but you got to be pretty vigilant about pruning and making sure you're on top of it and
Yeah.
stuff. And again, if you're not, you're still going to get tomatoes. Tomatoes are pretty easy. They're hard to
Mhm.
mess up. The only time they mess up is if they get like a bug or a disease. But other than that, that's pretty easy. But if you guys like onions, are pretty easy too,
Mhm.
because you can put onions, garlic, anything.
Yeah.
You
I had
just put
heard
them in the
garlic
ground.
is really easy.
Yeah, yeah. But so just do start small. Start
Yeah.
small.
Well, and Luke had this idea. He does eat salsa. Um, he said like it's going to be a salsa garden.
Yeah.
So tomatoes, jalapenos. We have accidentally grown pumpkins before because the pumpkin just got like thrown over like
Oh
into
yeah.
the corner of the yard, and then we had a whole pumpkin vine. So I'm gonna try that again, just like accidental pumpkin garden by throwing a couple of pumpkins after they,
Are done.
are done, weathered on the porch, and see if we can get them to grow back kind of where I'm thinking we'll end up with a garden. But if
You know
they
what's
don't,
crazy?
it's okay.
What's crazy to me is that most people do that, and I just thought of it now. I was like, okay, what if it's a carved pumpkin? There's no seeds in there.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't a carved pumpkin that we
Yeah,
had thrown
yeah.
back there. It was like a full, and we got, I mean, a decent amount of pumpkins from
Yeah?
it the next year. Yeah, like they weren't very big. I mean, they were, you know,
Yeah.
12 inches. I don't know, like not whatever, but um from the pumpkin that they grew from, because it was a big pumpkin that went back there, but it was kind of fun. And the kids were, this was years ago, and the kids thought it was really cool. I'm like, oh, look at that. I'm like doing like home ec enrichment, teaching kids stuff.
Oh my kids like that too. That one year, so we use our neighbor. He lets us plant stuff in his backyard. So Lillian, she was probably, I don't know, 5, and we have this little John Deere tractor, like Power Wheel tractor. So she loaded up all the plants in there and was driving driving in his backyard to offload them. And now they don't really care as much. They
Yeah.
But here's all I want them to care about. Like, I'll plant stuff. They don't eat tomato. They don't like tomatoes. They love bell peppers. But we have a large patch of raspberries and strawberries,
Mhm.
and they'll go in the back, and I'll just be staring out my window, and they'll like I can hear them. The windows are open. I can hear them talk to their friends about our raspberries and strawberries, and then they all go over there and find them and eat them. And so I
That's
like
so
that part
cool.
of it. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that part.
Yeah.
So if you ever venture that route, I have plenty of raspberries and strawberries plants to give. So
Do they just like, do they get big quick, or is that one of those kind of plants that takes like
no,
years
they
to
spread pretty quickly. Yeah,
catch?
yeah,
And
and
those seem easy, right? Like it's just
oh
a
yes,
raspberry bush and you just leave it be and you just eat off of it as you can.
the hardest thing about for me, the hardest thing about raspberries and strawberries is controlling them, because
Mm.
they will so I always forget. So I believe raspberries are, again, I love this stuff. So raspberries are rhizomatous, which means their roots go under the ground and then a new
Okay.
plant pops up. That was
Okay.
funny. I had my hand up here and went out of screen and came. Sorry, I amused
Perfect.
myself.
Yeah. No, it's a
uh,
perfect visual.
Strawberries are stoloniferous, which means they're above ground. So they'll send a plant out, send a shoot out. It'll land on the ground and root itself in. So either way, they spread very fast.
Yeah.
Raspberries, you got to have more of like mine's a raised bed, so they can't like get too crazy. They'll still like be in my raised bed, and 3 feet in the grass, one's coming up, but
Oh,
it gets mowed, so it's never
yeah.
an issue. But
Yeah.
yeah, they can get wild if you can't rein them in. But
Hmm.
they're every year a lot of strawberries, a lot of raspberries. So
Yeah. I We used to have like little teeny tiny wild strawberries all through our
yeah,
grass. They've been evicted,
yeah,
but
yeah. That's yeah. We have those everywhere too. But yeah,
yeah.
but that's my favorite one, because I think for the most part every kid loves fruit. So at least they understand. Like, hey, they could. Your kids don't.
Luke doesn't.
Oh, okay, all right,
He'll eat an apple.
okay,
That's it. Abby will eat everything and
yeah.
anything, which is great. But yeah, Luke, once again, Mark and Luke are the same person. Mark will eat an apple. I don't know the last time Mark's eaten an apple, and he doesn't like the peel on it, but
What a baby.
he is. He is.
Wow, I love fruit. There's
I know,
nothing
right?
better. There's nothing better than what I love watermelon. That's my favorite. I love
Mm.
going to, and then on TikTok, I got on watermelon TikTok, and there's all these people trying to tell you like how to find the best one, and so I try all these different things, and man, as soon as and I I cut them up so often. As soon as I cut it, even the knife feel, I was like, I can tell if
Oh
it's good or
yeah,
bad. And
yeah. There's a certain.
as soon as it goes in, I'm like, she goes, well, I go, this is going to be a bad watermelon. Crack it open, there's cracks in it, and I don't even, I just throw it away. I was like, I'm
Yeah,
pretty particular about it, and it has to be cold. So
yeah,
if I want to eat it after I cut it up, I put a bowl in the freezer for a little bit just to get it cold faster. But yeah, I love fruit. I don't know. Yeah.
yeah. Mark does eat watermelon. Luke doesn't. And actually, watermelon is really refreshing. We've gone to a couple of like festival concerts,
Mhm.
and there's always been stands that have like, there's all the normal typical like fair type food, and then there'll be a stand with just like big old hunks of watermelon. I'm like, that's the best idea because it's
Yeah.
like hydrating and
Mhm.
refreshing, and like people just walking around with a big old hunk of watermelon. It's perfect.
Like a turkey leg.
Yeah, yeah. But um I don't know. We'll see. I do not have high hopes for this adventure into gardening, but Luke is really interested in it, so I can't like I don't want to squash that. So
Correct. Yes.
we're gonna figure out something
Yeah.
very, very simple.
And you can point them on the internet. There's you type in salsa garden and there's a
Mhm.
plan. And again, it could be one tomato plant, one pepper plant, and onion or whatever else he wants to put in it. But it can be real simple. He gets the joy out of it, especially since he planned this whole thing. He gets that
Mhm.
part of it, and then he realizes like, oh, there's a little bit of work involved in this,
Yeah,
and then we'll
yeah,
see, you'll see from there. But it's a lot, well, you do have a dog, but it's a lot better than having getting a dog and be like, all right, here's all the work you have to do.
yeah, yeah. No, we do have a dog. He's well, that's the thing too. Like, I don't think I don't the dog's name's Sam. Sam, I don't think he'd mess with it too much. I don't know. He'd probably pee on it a couple of times or something, but
It's
he's
new, they're gonna mark it, yeah.
yeah, he's scared of random crap all the time. So
Just put whatever
it's
he's scared of, put it right in the garden.
right. A plastic bag.
Yeah,
It's a plastic bag right there on a stake. Won't go near it,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's all good.
That's
He's a
cool.
big baby.
It's cool to when they like, because you're right. It could be something you're not even into, and they are, and you as your parent, you
Hmm.
had like, yeah,
Hmm.
okay, let's foster this, whatever this is. It might
Hmm.
be a year, and then he's done with it. But at least like you went down that road to see where it could lead.
Right. And it's a harmless hobby
Hmm.
kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Like it's not like suddenly being interested in hockey
Yeah.
or something.
Well, that would I'm like, sorry, no,
I
we might have
think
to say
that
no.
would um and even that we would not go head over heels. It would be like, okay, we're gonna go ice skating a couple times
Hmm.
and then we're gonna do this. It would be an easy thing. But yeah, I mean, gardening's a and then, if it works for 1 year and he doesn't want to do it the next year, that's fine. But then
Yeah,
he'll have that in his memories and whatever. And he's adult, he can be like, I had a garden 1 year and it was really fun when I was a kid, and he can do it again. But
yeah, yeah. I don't think we had gardens growing up, and not until I Andrew and I bought our first house when we actually made a garden. And again, like everyone, they overplant. We had stuff everywhere, and the worst part is at the end of the season when you got to clean all that up, and you're like, all right, what do I do with all this stuff? Like it's just all
right.
these dead plants everywhere.
Well, and then like, you ever seen the like memes about zucchini season? Like, beware, you could just like walk out to your car and there'll be a zucchini on your car. So I will never plant zucchini because I know too many people already that plant them.
Mm.
So nope, I just come
Zucchini,
from them.
that's another one that I never thought I would like. Andrea's mom, well, Andrea's mom prepares a like this particular vegetable, healthy thing. Like I feel like it's the most unhealthy thing. Like it's almost like frying it, but it's
Oh,
so good. Like she'll cut it in strips. She'll put like spices and oils and stuff, and then she sprinkle cheese on top of it, and then put it in the
mhm.
oven. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
It's like
I
French fries, but
Yeah.
instead of a potato, it's zucchini and
Yeah. No, we got
great.
into Whole 30. I don't know if you know what Whole 30 is.
Hmm.
So we did that years ago, and we got a lot of good stuff out of it, stuff that we still like do, but one of it was um zucchini noodles or
Yep.
zoodles as they call it. That
Yep.
was really good. Kids didn't care for it, obviously, but
Yeah.
it was good. I enjoyed that. Spaghetti squash is good too, and it's super easy. So
Yeah. I don't, something about spaghetti squash, the texture throws me off. Like I
yeah.
like a, I don't know what type, like baked, like probably acorn squash and like some brown sugar and cinnamon is cool with me. But doing the spaghetti squash thing as like a spaghetti replacement or
Yeah.
like can't, I don't.
Well, your brain wants it to be spaghetti, and it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. I have done, you take the really big fat zucchinis and slice them with like almost like a cheese slicer and
Yeah.
make lasagna noodles out of them.
Oh yeah.
Zucchini lasagna. That is pretty good. But when you think of it's texture, right? Like when you think about lasagna noodles, they're not, it gets melded in with the cheese and the meat and the sauce and stuff. Like it's not like a spaghetti where it's a separate thing.
I feel like lasagna. I feel like lasagna noodles compared to spaghetti. Spaghetti noodles are like the meal with sauce on it.
Right.
Lasagna is just like one of the layers of lasagna. Like it doesn't
Right.
have to be
Yeah.
like the main thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably why it's,
It
I
works
don't
a little
know.
better.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
tried the zoodles before and same. Yeah. Same. I think they're fine with you're not thinking it as a spaghetti replacement. If it was just like a side of zoodles with some like
Mm.
butter or something, sure, that'd be
Yeah.
fine. But
Do you cook a lot? Are you the cooker or does Mark cook?
so we both do.
Okay.
So I'm a nurse, gone for 12 hours. So like, and I part-time now, but I used to be full-time and I used to work nights. Um, so we are very 50-50 with like cooking stuff, which is great. He pretty much does more of the grilling, smoking
Oh
meat.
yeah. Yeah.
I know how to use the grill, but I don't have that on my resume because I just don't want that added responsibility. Um, which we took pulling back to the tournament. We brought the
Yeah.
Blackstone to the tournament and made hot dogs. That was fun. But I do cook a lot. Part of that is we have some dietary restrictions
Mm-hmm.
going on. Abby has celiac, so we are not a completely gluten-free household, but any like family meal that gets made is gluten-free. So that causes some things to have to be made from scratch. So I have learned how to cook. I mean, when we first got married, I I mean, opening a can of green beans and throwing chicken nuggets in the oven was cooking.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
so that definitely has evolved quite a bit. I don't love cooking. I hate baking. I really don't
Oh,
like
really?
baking. Yeah, it's
Okay.
not I for whatever reason, I think because I'm not precise enough. Baking, you have to be really precise, right? Like
Mm.
it's like a lot of whatever. I like the cooking where you can just like measure cheese with your heart instead of like
I love that. Yeah.
like instead of a very like specific half teaspoon of baking soda when you're baking or whatever. So I have throughout trial and error learned how to cook a decent amount of things, which is good because
Good.
if you don't super enjoy it, it sucks when you don't know how to do it and it's hard. So I've
Yeah.
at least taken the hard part out of it, and I don't hate it, but I also enjoy sharing the responsibility
Mm.
because, and we do a lot of you're on your own nights, call it yo-yo night, where it's like I don't care what you eat, leftovers, ramen noodles, just just find some food in the house. It doesn't have to be like a structured
Yeah.
meal kind of thing, which
Well,
is nice because
you
then
have
we
to do
use
that.
up leftovers.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We had, and I talk about all the time. We do that too, but a lot of times it'll be something quick for the kids. Like Andrew will make mac and cheese or something, and
Mhm.
they'll eat mac and cheese and a chicken patty. And then those are the nights we do secret dinners where the kids go to bed and we eat something at night.
Yeah. We don't even do it in secret. We just
Well, we
get
don't
our
anymore
own
because
stuff. Yeah.
Mateo's well aware of what we do.
Yeah.
So
We have Mark and I were actually talking about, because Mark brought up, he said you guys call it secret dinner. We did go out because the kids are older and like we'll run errands, go to the store, whatever. And we I think we just said, oh, we're just going to the grocery store or whatever. And I think we went and got dinner
yeah,
instead because I don't know. I can't remember the exact circumstances, but this is a great like stage of life where you could just like, yeah, bye kids. We'll be back in an
yeah,
hour.
yeah.
It's fine.
Well, it's a lot
Everything's
easier for
fine.
us and more ease on the mind because Andrew's parents live 3 houses down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we tell them, all right, if something happens, just go down to Pops.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's clutch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You did say you reminded me about the softball tournament. So the
Yeah.
softball tournament, I was out of town.
Yeah.
I didn't plan it purposefully. It just
Yeah.
I
Well,
like
you
the
knew
pumpkin.
that from the beginning though. Like
I did.
we talked about it in the team meeting and then you said, okay, guys, I'm not going to be there for this. like immediately. It's fine.
Well,
Totally fine.
a lot of it was ease, ease of me like finding a tournament. Like we played in this
Mhm,
tournament last year
mhm.
as 8U. Some of the girls, some of the team did. So it was just easy tournament. The guy had been texting me already about it. I'm like, all right, we'll just sign up for this one. It's whatever. But then the weekend shows up. I'm in sunny San Diego, and it's like
Mhm.
30 degrees,
It was so cold. Like,
and it was that way last year too. It was really
yeah,
really cold. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it was cold. Blankets, hats, gloves. And the weather was weird. Like it would be sunny for a hot second, and you're like, oh,
Mm.
okay. And then the clouds would come back, and then it would get windy, and then it would sprinkle a little bit. It
Yeah.
didn't full on rain, but it would kind of mist every once in a while, just enough to take away any warmth that you might have gathered when the sun came out.
And apparently we were on fields that were under construction, so there's no dugouts.
Yeah, no dugouts, no break. Like it was 10 degrees colder out on those fields than it
Just
was
wide
like
open.
in the complex itself
Yeah.
because there's dugouts to block wind and
Yeah.
trees and stuff,
Yeah.
buildings. This was literally open. Like I imagine it's how soccer is, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah.
soccer plays. We are not a soccer family, but
Nope.
soccer, rain or shine, snowing, it just keeps playing. Doesn't matter if the fields are full of water and mud. And then we have, lightweight softball and baseball, like the field's wet. We can't play.
It's damp, so the
It's
ball's gonna get
yeah,
muddy.
yeah, yeah. We're worried about the field getting ruined, so we're not gonna play.
Yep.
Um, which is fine, but it was cold. The girls had a lot of fun though.
It looked
It
like they
was
did, yeah.
yeah, there was, I mean, part of it was because they were shivering and huddling under blankets, but no,
Part of it was
no,
trying to ward off hypothermia, but yeah.
yeah, no, I don't think there were many girls that I don't even remember anybody being just like miserably cold
Mm-hmm.
on the team.
Yeah.
They did a good job. They cheered really loud the whole time, which was really cool.
I know I'd
Um,
watch some of the games on Game Changer and I'm
oh
like,
yeah,
man, this is loud.
yeah,
Which
yeah,
is yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I know. I talked to your mom and Andrea's mom, and I was like, man, they couldn't have picked a weekend that it was like warm for you guys to step in and like sit here.
Yeah, they were
But
both there. Andrew's mom was there all day Saturday,
uh-huh,
and my mom was there Sunday. My mom
yeah,
said that everyone went out to Lucky's on Sunday,
uh-huh.
and she she reported back
Saturday, yeah, Saturday,
Saturday.
yeah.
Uh,
No,
it was
was it?
Sunday.
It was Sunday.
Yeah.
It was the hot dogs were on Saturday. That's right. That's right.
My mom reported back that there was some parents getting after it on Sunday having some drinks, and there was I don't know who she was talking to. Someone was sitting next to her, and my mom doesn't drink anymore, so
Right.
she asked, they're like, "Do you want to drink?" My mom was like, "No, I'd be a lot more crazy than I. If you think I'm crazy now, just get a drink in me. That'll be more
Oh
crazy."
no. I love your mom. I told her actually, I think it was at the tournament. I told her, or I don't know, one of the games. I really enjoyed your podcast with her. That was really good. I really
Oh,
liked
thank
your
you.
Mother's Day. Yeah, I told her that too. It was really good.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, and then your Andrew's mom said that she had to go to like a bonfire or something for
I
like
don't
a.
think she went. I think
Oh, okay.
she was tired, and she really
Yeah.
don't. I don't think she wanted to go. I mean, she would go because it's her daughter's party. But even
I
it
was
sounded
like, you're
like
gonna be outside.
yeah, and it even sounded like it's her daughter's party. Her daughter and her husband. It's their
Mhm.
party, and it sounded like they didn't even want to go to their party. So
Yeah, yeah. It was cold.
yeah,
It worked out. It is what it is. Makes for funny now, but no, it was fun. I think we all wanted another win or two, but
yeah, yeah,
it was cool because there was a mix, right? Like they did really well against one team and won by a lot, which
yeah.
was fun for them to experience. And then there were some harder fought games and then they lost by a lot, but like ultimately, I don't know, it was a decent weekend. You always
I,
want them to be better, but they're so much better than the start of the season that
mhm.
you can't be like mad about any of it.
Well,
But
our very first game, like we huddled as coaches, like, all right, this is what I think we are. But the thing that stood out to me and to them also was like our girls didn't even seem like into it. Like it seemed like
oh,
they didn't want to be there, and they were like, there was no. Usually, I'm like, all right, guys, can we give me like 30 seconds? Because I sit in the dugout when we're batting. I was like, give me like 30 seconds, no cheers. It
to
gets
just think.
yeah, it gets a little loud. But like, yeah, they just So that was good to see
Mhm.
too. As the fall season went on, they just appeared to be like, all right. And I think a lot of it is growing together because it was basically two teams and then a couple girls that didn't play travel last year. So it
Right.
was all these girls coming together and kind of I think figuring out, seeing, but we tried our best to whenever we did drills, we separated them. We didn't let them pick who they're
Mhm.
throwing with or doing drills with, so that we made sure they mixed as much as possible. Now I think it's getting better. And then come springtime, we even talked about it too. Like, all right, because I think the tournament is gonna mirror our season as far as like there's gonna be games where we win by a lot and there's gonna be games where we lose by
Mhm.
a lot. Now it won't be that much because there's gonna be run rules.
Right.
But I think that's gonna be the case. I think there'll be very few games where it's close. I think that's just, especially this age and where we're at, it's just how it's gonna
Well,
be.
and I think this age momentum is so big too that like
Yeah.
once one team starts doing really well, the other team has a really hard time pulling back out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that that's not like a skill thing, it's just a mental thing of ball playing,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so I mean you see that all the time, but I
Pitching
hope
too.
there's yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
pitching definitely
Yeah.
drives drives. I think our team has a lot of potential. I mean, we have good pitchers, and I think there's a lot of even greater potential. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see them kind of develop more and all that stuff. It'll be
Yeah.
fun.
And much like I corrected everyone, you are the finance person for our
I
softball
am.
team.
I am. Thank you. I'm not just the softball mom. I'm the finance person. But the Venmo for the team is under Mark's name because he has a work phone, and so he could create a second Venmo account.
Oh,
But
okay. Okay.
but I run the spreadsheet, and I think I told you I sent the spreadsheet to you, but it's in read only mode, so you don't have to worry about like
Yeah.
accidentally inputting
Thank you.
something. Yeah, no problem. No problem.
I was just working on a spreadsheet this morning for football. So football, I watched the film and I gotta um uh watch my guys, and if they make a
Mhm.
block, if they do their job, it's a 1. If they don't do their job, it's a 0. And then at the end, if it's whatever, you got 17 out of 20 and percentage, all this. So I do it for the whole season. And I had to Google. I'm terrible at using like Excel word. Like some of these Excel TikToks are incredible on what you can do
Mhm.
in Excel.
Mhm.
So I had to Google how do you do average in Excel
Oh,
to figure out how to
yeah.
do it. I was like, oh, it's the same exact same as you get add a bunch of numbers together. You just
Yeah.
use the word average instead of sum. So
Yeah. Yeah. There's usually like a little drop down with like the tools and like average is always in there with like sum and whatever.
yeah, I,
Um,
I knew it was there somewhere. I just Google's easier. So
yeah. I I am a huge advocate for you don't have to know everything, you just have to know how to find the answer. So it's great.
yeah,
It's fine.
yeah. Right.
Like
Yeah.
the answer is out there somewhere. You just have to know how to find it.
I tell
So
everyone that all the time, especially at work, and I've said it here before. It's like you don't. My job is to know everything, but my
mhm.
job is to find out for you. So like
Right,
if you ask me a question, all right, I don't know, but I'll get it for you. It
right,
might be a day or two, but I'll figure it out.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people have a hard time when they get stuck in that thinking they should know everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um at work at as a nurse, I orient a lot of new people and I tell them that all the time. Like I'm learning new stuff every single day and I've been doing this for 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like so you definitely don't have to know everything. And I work in a NICU, so parents of little babies all the time and parents just want you to be honest with them. It's okay to say, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm going to go find out that answer for you
Yeah.
or I'm not sure but I know the doctor can explain that XYZ or whatever. And I have found in my experience that parents appreciate honesty instead of just
Mm-hmm.
some bullshit answer about something, you
Yeah.
know.
Especially
And
when,
that's
especially then, like
yeah,
when emotions are already so high, you
right,
know. Yeah.
right. Yeah. And obviously everybody wants to just be able to answer with the correct answer for something,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not, we're human. You have a limit to your knowledge base, and that's why there's a whole team of people taking care of each, in the hospital. It's not just one kind of person, it's a whole
Yeah.
team because everybody brings something a little bit different to the problem solving and taking
Yeah.
care of things.
Well,
So
that's why every place of work, there is a team because everyone has, like you said, everyone has different skills, different knowledge. So the team works well that way when you can all talk. How long have you been a NICU nurse?
For 14 years.
Oh, the whole time. So you knew
Well,
that from the beginning. That's what you wanted to do.
sort of. I thought I wanted to be a peds nurse.
Okay.
I have type 1 diabetes, and so I was really interested in like working with kids with diabetes. I
Mm.
did some shadowing like in high school in a office, and I was like, oh, I cannot work in a doctor's office. This
Uh,
is just it it was no, it just wasn't. So then I was like, well, I can, take care of
well, that's
kids.
what that shadowing's for, like to figure
Right.
that out. Yeah.
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 So thought I wanted to take care of kids like in the hospital, and then I same thing, did my clinical rotation in college, and it just wasn't what I wanted it to be. So I had a friend, I took uh the extra year route in college. Nursing degrees are hard, like
Yeah.
stupidly hard. And I failed some classes and had to take them over, and it's all good now. It doesn't matter. But it took me an extra year. So somebody that was in my initial graduating class, for whatever reason, knew she wanted to do NICU.
Mhm.
And she talked very highly of her, like we call it a practicum. It's like a shadow experience when you're a nursing student. And so I was kind of bummed out about not really clicking with the peds clinical that I had done. And she's like, well, try NICU. Like, it's still peds-ish. And
Mhm.
that was kind of it. So I ended up doing it, and loved it. Loved it. It was just great.
I-
Um,
Is it
so I
hard? Is it hard mentally for that? Like I feel like it would be to me for me.
we have so many more good stories than bad,
Mm.
that is what makes it's so
Just keep going.
rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so rewarding. Like I endless stories of little tiny babies or really sick babies that get bigger and better. We do have those stories of the hard experiences that really stick with you, and stick with you for a long time, and you'll remember the exact thing you were wearing, the exact time of the day it was, the exact, all of those little tiny details that really stick with you, because it's hard
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
um but it's so much more rewarding than sad. So I mean, that's any kind of job. If you enjoy it more than you don't, I mean, and it it's not, nobody wants to have to go through those hard experiences,
Hmm.
but you always learn something from it and take something forward, and not in a manner of like that anything different could have been done or whatever. um but it's just, nursing as a profession is totally you keep learning and growing every single day. um so it makes the experience, it just kind of is the whole experience, right?
Yeah.
So it's all good. I
When
I really really love it a lot.
good.
So I don't want to work anywhere else. I do not want to take care of adult patients. We actually were talking about this at work the other day. Like, if for some reason there were no more NICUs, and where would we work? And people are saying like, oh, adult ICU. And I was like, I don't, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to go anywhere else. I would have to really consider it's not that I don't love being a nurse. It just, I would probably take a long time off to figure out what the heck I would want to do.
Well, much like any job, there are specific things you like about that job, and
Hmm.
for you, for nursing is so broad, but for you, this
Hmm.
is the thing you like, and it'd be
Right.
hard to change or to be forced to go somewhere else if
Right.
you had to.
And NICU is very specialized. And so like we're on a little tiny bubble, right? Like you don't even, in all 4 years, well, five, you go that route, years of college.
That's all right. It took
We
me 4 years to get my 2 year, so it's all
it,
good.
it, it happens.
Yeah.
Uh you spend 4 hours shadowing NICU.
Mm,
We do like a semester or whatever of OB, of labor and delivery and postpartum and taking care of moms and babies. But as far as NICU goes, we did a 4-hour shadow,
yeah.
which all you remember, I tell nursing students that come through all the time for that shadow experience, you're gonna remember you saw tiny babies and really high heart rates. Like
Oh,
that you don't remember anything. You're just like
Yeah.
completely overwhelmed. But I think with anything in nursing or any job in general, the more specialized you get, the harder it is to come back out of that. So like your nurse that takes care of dialysis patients and you do dialysis every single day, to kind of step back out of that would be weird and hard. Same thing with Nikki, like just, but everybody's got to have their niche, right? Like I don't want to take care of adult patients, but obviously there needs to be people that do that.
And there are people that like to do that.
Yeah. So
what where'd you go to college?
I went to Mercy in Toledo.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. My
Little...
sister went to Lourdes. She's still working. I mean, she's graduated, but she has to take the test. And my mom said the test changed, even from when Martina was trying to start it or try to do it to now. It's changed. Like you don't need to know as much, like on the test.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. I don't know how that compares to what it used to be because I'm not a nurse or I don't deal with that. But
yeah, I mean it's when I did it, I took boards in 2009, so it was like a computer test, and it was, what's it called, that adaptive learning or whatever, that like the more questions you get right, the less questions you have to take.
Oh, okay.
So like the minimum amount of questions is like, I don't know this, I think it's like 85 or something, but you could answer 220.
Oh geez.
Like it's a big, maybe not 220, but like it's a big
lot,
swing.
So as you're taking the test, you're like, all right, there's more, and all right, I'm doing terrible if I keep going.
And it doesn't tell, it just like stops.
It's
just like you're done. And so I think everybody immediately, I remember walking out and being immediately wanting to puke and said, oh my God, I just failed. Like but it was fine. But
I think every test I've ever taken, I'm like, yeah, I never once did I go, I nailed that.
Oh really?
I don't think so.
Yeah, there's just so much on the line with boards that, and I mean it costs money to take it, but it mentally there's so much on the line, I think, is the thing, because you can go into it and be like, I can take this again, if I don't pass, it's fine. But it just, you have that weight of those 4 or 5 or however many years you've been in school on top of, like, it's all leading down to this, and if I can't pass this test, I can't move forward.
Yeah.
So it's mentally a lot, but
there's
test anxiety is a big problem.
Yeah. And that's why I think, I mean, I did well on tests, especially in college. In high school, I was a terrible student. I should have done a lot better, but I was terrible and I just didn't care. But when I got into college, I did well on tests, but every test it was like, nope, I didn't do well. And I just I had to wait. I had to wait for the results to come back. There was certain ones, because a lot of them for my degree for landscape and turfgrass management, it's just a lot of memorization. So I had to, like, our test for our Woody ID for trees, we walked around and our teacher was like, all right, what's that tree? And we'd have to write the scientific name, we'd have to write the common name, and then 3 characteristics on why that tree is that tree. And
that's cool.
So a lot of it is memorization. Walk
around.
We had to
walk around. It feels very like I love Harry Potter. It feels very much like Harry Potter in our biology class, walking around doing stuff. Have you read or watched Harry Potter at all?
We watched I think we watched all the movies, but as we got further along, I cared less. So like it just wasn't my jam. Like I really enjoyed the first one. Like but I also like origin type things. So I really enjoyed the first one. And part of this too was our leading up to us going to Disney World, where we thought we might go to Universal Studios also, where they have a big Harry Potter thing. So we got into it as a family. We were reading the books and then we're like, nah, let's just watch movies. So we watched all the movies.
Well, I mean, we're like the same-ish age, but the books were getting published at like a perfect timeline for millennials, because the books were getting published at like our reading level, age range kind of situation. Like I think the first one came out when I was in 5th grade, which is perfect because he's 11 in the first book. So I grew up reading the books. I mean, the last one came out, I was in college, I think. But so I'm always, with everything, a proponent of like the book is always better than the movie. So
I feel that way too. Because it's your imagination that's bringing the book to life. And then when there's a movie, it's somebody else's vision that's doing that. So that's always, I feel like that's always the case.
And always with series, as the movies go on, they always go farther from the book. Like storylines are completely left out, or something changes, or like characters are still alive that shouldn't be. Or I don't think Harry Potter didn't do that, but like other book series that I've read and watched shows or movies about, it's always like the very first season or the very first movie is always the best one. And I feel like part of that is because then they steer off of like the book a bit.
The ones that I really enjoyed, I read the Dan Brown books. It was like Angels and Demons. Da Vinci Code, yeah. Angels and Demons. It's all with the characters Robert Langdon. So I really enjoyed those because it was cool. I like history, so I like that part of it. But then all the movies were good because I can't see these things that they're talking about. They could describe them in the book, like about this painting or this building or whatever, and then in the movie, like all this stuff, like you can see it, and I like that. Actually, I read the Da Vinci Code with a special edition book where it came with pictures because I'm a child and I need to see the pictures. But it had like when it talked about this painting, like you could see the painting and what they were talking about.
Right. So, that's nice. I love to read. Do you reread books ever? Have you reread Da Vinci Code since you read it the first time? No, I love to read.
I don't reread books. I don't rewatch movies typically unless it's like really good. Then I won't make a point to rewatch it. I'll just put it, if it's on TV or I see it, I'll put it on. And it'll be in the background or whatever I'm doing. But I don't do a lot of rereading.
Yeah. You don't do a lot of reading, or do you do a lot of reading? Do you feel like?
I do some. I don't do a lot. And it's pretty specific. I've read a lot of like Dan Brown, super interested in Dan Brown, but coincidentally that year I also got on Adderall. So like I was super into reading because I was hyper focused on it.
Just flew through a bunch of books.
Yes. I think I read every Dan Brown book in like 3 months just because like and that still might seem like a long thing, but for someone who doesn't read, like for me, I was flying through these things and I needed the Adderall, but I was prescribed too much. So like it like really focused me. And I even like I lost 50 pounds in a year too, because it curbs your appetite so bad. And the fact that I was overprescribed. But I didn't know what I was doing. I was 19. I know this made me focus and I took it, and I didn't know I was like should have been reporting these things to somebody. So but I got off of it because I ran out of health insurance and it cost like I don't know, like $400 a pill or something. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm not doing this anymore. So
isn't that crazy that like for us, we could only stay on our parents' insurance until we were 22, was it?
Something, yeah. Now it's like 26 or something. But
it's crazy. So like I have coworkers talking about insurance and they're like, 22, 24, even 26. I was talking to somebody, they were like, oh, I have to get my own insurance next year. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you've worked here for 4 years. What?
You've been married 10 years. What do you mean?
Yeah, people are, and I'm like, I mean, I guess I get it. Like, if your parents' insurance is better, but I feel like that probably wasn't the intention for that change in rule. Is more to capture people who didn't have an option. So I'm just surprised because like, when you're married with insurance, it's like if your spouse has an option to get their own insurance, they have to take that. You can't a lot of times be on the better one. It's correct. You have to take so it's interesting that clause doesn't apply to
kids.
Well,
you would think too. You would think, I mean, the reason they do it is so they don't have to pay for it. Like your company or your job doesn't have to pay for another person. Right. So you would think that'd be the case. Like you said, for the kids.
Well, because I think it's a federal mandate. I could go on and on about my thoughts about insurance.
Well, we are running out of time, but that could be a separate podcast.
Yeah. But and that's a hot topic, like, right? I feel like that falls with everybody's kind of thoughts on it are a little different, like kind of falls into the political realm, but people just need to be able to take care of themselves.
I know. That's what I say. Yeah. All right. Well, Rachel, I appreciate you coming on here. We've known each other for a while. Actually, I think probably when the boys played baseball together when they were probably like 7 or something like that. So, You're the red team.
The red team.
So it is cool that Mark and I get to coach again together because we coached then, I believe. So it's cool, and I like knowing, especially going to a team. I like knowing the coaches already, and then obviously adding more coaches is good too. So it's gonna be fun this year, I think, and I shouldn't say I think. That sounds pretty negative.
No,
it's gonna be fun.
It's been fun already.
Yeah.
And it's gonna continue to be fun.
There we go. Yeah.
So
I appreciate you coming on here and wanting to talk, and I'm sure just like everyone else, it's a little nerve-wracking. I would imagine you're like, because you even text me like, I'm gonna say yes before I think about it anymore.
Yeah.
But you could tell people it's not that bad. It's
not. And I text Megan. We went to dinner with Megan and her husband last night. Fellow super fan Megan. Hey. And so I text her immediately, and I was like, "Oh God, what did I just do?" And she was like, "Oh, it's fine. Yeah. Totally. And I was like, "Yeah." I just obviously it's easier because I'd known you. If I think I would have been more nervous if this was like somebody brand new, and
or if it was specifically about something too. That's why I try to make it not specific, because then it's not like if I was like, all right, I'm gonna podcast with you and we're just going to talk about nursing, then you go like, all right, what's he going to ask me? What's all these questions?
Right.
What do I need to know? And all this for this, it's like, well, we're just going to talk, and whatever we talk about, we talk about. So
kind of ends up going different direction.
Yeah.
Well, and I figured the organizing stuff was going to come up because I did see that you liked my page, so thank you for that.
Yeah. And again, I will put your stuff in the show notes, so when people listen, they can click on it and see it there too. So. Yeah. All right, Rachel. Well, thanks again. And I'm sure it'll be, before we know it, it'll be middle winter, and we're practicing indoors. So
great.
See ya.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks again to my guest, Rachel Moll, for being on the podcast. I saw that she recently ventured into organizing. I thought it'd be a good guest to have on, talk about organizing, how everyone organizes. And again, if you are interested in her services, check out the show notes. I will have I think she has Instagram and Facebook pages, possibly only Instagram. I don't know. I don't remember what I liked. I know it's on there somewhere, but they're in the show notes. So click on that. She will help you organize your home and I guess whatever, really, office, shed, garage. I don't know. We didn't dive into that. Ask her. I'm sure she'll help you organize whatever you need to be organized. Great episode. Like I said at the end, we've known each other for a while, so it was cool to have her come on. I always say the same thing about those kind of episodes. Those are the best because for me, selfishly for me, those are the best because I have a baseline of knowledge. Like our kids play sports together. We do these few things. And now I know more about her. Just like when her husband, Mark, came on. I think this is, I was going to say it was the first, but this is the second husband and wife. The first ones came on together. So these are the first separate ones. But anyway, thanks to all the listeners out there, all the viewers. Check out our social medias, interact with the show, the nerdballpodcast@gmail.com. Check out our other show on the Nerdball Network, 3 Different Dads. Me, Tyler, Jimmy talk about dad stuff sometimes, and other times we make fun of each other for the most part. So check that out. Become a super fan. If you become a super fan, we will say your name at the end of the episode. And right now, the list is getting up there. I think we're up to like 6 names possibly. So become a super fan, and the way to become a super fan is just interact. Send an email, send a text, go on social media. So it's all, wherever you want to look for Nerdball Network stuff, it's either Nerdball Podcast or 3 Different Dads on social media. So check all that stuff out. Got some great guests lined up for the future for the Nerdball Podcast. So I'm excited for that. But thanks, and thanks for everything that you, the listeners and the viewers, do. The show is growing, and I'm excited. So as always, thanks to Real JP Multimedia, Cuttlefish Graphics, Perrysburg Junior High STEM Lab, and Big Daddy Graphics for always helping out the podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.